There's a certain kind of silence that only happens right before something goes wrong, and I remember thinking later that I should have recognized it. I was standing behind a strip mall waiting on a driver minding my own business, and somehow that was enough to nearly get me cuffed by a local cop who decided I didn't look like who I said I was. Yeah, that happened. It was early evening in Brookhaven, the kind of soft light that makes everything feel slower than it is. I'd stepped away from my team for a few minutes during a protective assignment. Nothing dramatic, just logistics, timing, pickup coordination, the boring parts nobody makes movies about. I was in plain clothes, neutral jacket hands, visible just standing near the service lane between a pharmacy and a sandwich shop. Cameras on the corners, delivery vans idling, a nurse walking out with a paper bag. Ordinary. That's what it felt like. Ordinary. Then Officer Boone rolled in. You can tell a lot from how someone parks. He didn't pull up. Casually, didn't wave or nod. He angled his cruiser like he was sealing off a perimeter. Door swings open, heavy steps, shoulders squared before he even speaks. What are you doing back here? Not hello. Not everything all right. Straight to suspicion. I'm waiting on a driver. I said calm, steady. Is there a reason for the contact? That's when I felt it shift. His eyes scanned me like I'd already failed some invisible test. This area's had problems. You taking notes, you casing something. You ever notice how fast a story gets written about you before you open your mouth? I hadn't moved, hadn't reached into my pockets, nothing. But in his head, I was already suspicious. I'm federal law enforcement, I told him evenly. On duty, you can verify me through dispatch. He actually laughed. Not the friendly kind. More like, don't insult my intelligence. Don't lie to me. You don't look federal. That part sticks with you. Not because it's loud, but because it's quiet and confident. You don't look federal, meaning what exactly? Meaning not what he expected. And I knew arguing that in the moment wouldn't help, so I didn't. I can present credentials safely, I said. Just tell me how you'd like me to retrieve them. Instead of de-escalating, he stepped closer, too close. One hand hovering near his belt voice, getting sharper. Turn around, hands where I can see them. Don't reach for anything. Now here's the thing, when you've trained for real threats, you can tell the difference between danger and ego. This wasn't danger, this was control. I kept my hands open, movement slow. I narrated what I was doing. Inside jacket pocket, slow retrieval, badge and ID in my palm. He looked at them. I know he did. His eyes scanned the seal, the hologram, the details. For half a second, I thought it was over. He handed them back. I don't buy it, he said flatly. You're being detained until I figure this out. And that's when I realized it wasn't about verification. It was about winning. A nurse slowed down near the pharmacy door. A delivery driver leaned against his van, watching. Phones started appearing, subtle at first chest level. It's 2026. People don't wait for official reports anymore. They record. I asked him calm as I could. What specific crime are you investigating? You're suspicious, he shot back. Suspicious isn't a crime, but I didn't say that. I asked, am I free to leave? No. Then I'm being detained for what? His jaw tightened. Loitering, possible trespass. Behind a public strip mall. No posted signs. Cameras everywhere. You know what I mean. He moved closer again like he was trying to crowd me into compliance. I took one small step back, just enough to maintain space. Not dramatic, just human. He didn't like that. Stop being difficult, he said. I wasn't being difficult, I was being steady. And steady can feel like defiance when someone expects fear. I've identified myself, I told him. I've presented credentials. If you'd like to verify, call your supervisor. Instead, he reached for his radio. Dispatch, I've got a male subject claiming to be federal law enforcement. Need verification. Claiming. That word did a lot of work. Dispatch asked, did he provide credentials? He hesitated. He showed something. Can't confirm authenticity. I could feel the crowd solidifying behind him. 2 phones clearly up now. Someone near the sandwich shop had a straight-on angle. Boone glanced at them and doubled down instead of easing up. That's the part people don't understand. Sometimes witnesses don't calm a situation, they threaten pride. Minutes later, Sergeant Moreno pulled in. She didn't rush. She walked. Assessed. Boone started talking fast, trying to frame it before she even asked. He's refusing orders. Being argumentative. Says he's federal. Moreno looked at me, then at him. What was the original reason for contact? Suspicious person. What specifically? Loitering. She scanned the area cameras, open businesses, normal foot traffic. Then she looked at me. Sir, do you have credentials? I presented them again, same careful motion. She read them, actually read them. Are you on duty, she asked. Yes, ma'am. She turned back to Boone. Did he present these earlier? He flashed something, Boone muttered. That's when she told him to step back. Just like that. And you could feel the air change. Because now, It wasn't him versus me, it was him versus procedure. She radioed dispatch herself, requested proper verification channels, notified a lieutenant. That's when it became official. Boone tried to patch it up. Impersonators are common. I was just being cautious. Nobody bought it. Not the nurse, not the driver, not the cameras. Dispatch came back with confirmation pathways. Moreno stepped aside to make a call. When she returned, her tone had shifted, formal measured. "We're concluding this contact," she told me. "Your supervisor has been notified." Then she turned to Boone. "Get in your vehicle." He blinked. "Excuse me, that's a direct order." Watching him walk back to his cruiser, stiff jaw tight, was surreal. 10 minutes earlier, he'd been certain. Now he was sidelined. Moreno asked if I needed medical attention, if I felt threatened, if I wanted to initiate a formal complaint. I kept it simple. Preserve body cam, preserve plaza footage, collect witness information, document everything. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't celebrate. That wasn't the point. The point was record. By the next morning, Internal Affairs had locked down his body cam cruiser, GPS dispatch audio. The plaza cameras were preserved. Witnesses submitted video. My agency made formal contact with the department. Boone was placed on administrative leave within days. Within weeks, he was terminated. Short statement, no dramatic press conference, just consequences. Here's what people ask me. How did you stay that calm? And the honest answer is, I didn't feel calm. My heart was pounding. My jaw was tight. I knew one wrong tone, one sharp movement, and suddenly the narrative shifts. Suddenly I'm resisting. Suddenly I'm aggressive. And that's all it takes. So I stayed boring. I repeated myself. I let him talk. I let him stack his own decisions. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to give someone the reaction they're fishing for. Boone probably woke up that morning thinking he was doing his job. Maybe he believed he was protecting his district. But somewhere along the line, caution turned into control, and control turned into ego. And ego doesn't like being corrected. The twist in all this isn't that I was federal. It's that the cameras were rolling. If those phones weren't out, if his body cam had malfunctioned, if there were no supervisor willing to step in, would it have ended the same way? I don't know. That's the uncomfortable part. I went back to work. No interviews, no viral speeches, just documentation and duty. The win wasn't loud. It was procedural. It was on record. But I keep thinking about that sentence. You don't look federal. What does federal look like? Who gets the benefit of assumption? Who has to prove themselves twice? So I'll leave you with this. If you were standing where I stood, would you have stayed composed, or would you have snapped back and given him the excuse he was waiting for? And if you've ever worn a uniform, where's the line between caution and ego? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me if you've ever been judged before you even spoke. Tell me if you've seen authority pushed too far. Let's talk about what accountability really looks like. Not when it's convenient, but when it's uncomfortable. Because stories like this don't end in parking lots. They end in conversations like this one.